Y'all, my name's Miliaku, and I'm going to talk to you about abolition and sustainability. I studied why land projects fail. Then I set out to start one with a friend. I learned that we shouldn't start out with a bunch of lofty ideas. We should start doing work that felt natural and grew organically. We didn't name the home or land, although people took words from my little tour speeches and nicknamed it themselves. We let other folks lead events and stayed out of the way. We don't have a website and sustain the project wholly off of relationships. But we still struggle with maintenance, financially and relationally, including an incident of intense and traumatizing interpersonal physical violence at a birthday party someone hosted here. What I ended up learning in my own practice of this project wasn't foolproof techniques for sustaining land projects, not directly anyway. I learned how to feel my emotions. That I hadn't processed the trauma that I thought I processed, that I actually suppressed. And I ended up learning how to constantly forgive people, how to forgive myself, how to have grace, who to go back in time to give that grace to, how to accept accountability and maybe not hold out for atonement, to remember that I myself also may need to atone. When my resilience is stupidity, and that if something hurts, especially physically, I can stop. I could stop. And that I don't have to put up with people's stuff and then quietly resent them. I could speak up. That much of what I'm trying to do, I can just do it. I learned how to love someone without hoping they change. That I can still deepen the practice of what I preach. And how to support someone who hurt me and doesn't care. What it means to fearlessly do shit scared. How to share spotlight and the load. Loving someone while abhorring their behavior. And most importantly about the future, that we will be what we were. This also pulls from lessons in The Grammar of Black Futurity, which is an essay called Quiet Surroundings by Tina Campt. I know there aren't many grant proposals I can put all those lessons I just named into. And the closest thing to a KPI in there is my somatic experience, which is very far from a KPI. But I'll be here doing the work as long as the passion and care are here too. Other than land ownership issues and capital shortfalls, I knew we were why land projects were closing, with everyone storming out angry and hateful, like we, the people who live and participate here. So I knew figuring out what goes on in the spaces in between each other was the secret to making projects more sustainable. Observation and graduate research did not teach me to develop the shifts I needed to make in order to do land projects in ways I was not observing others do them sustainably. Thanks for bearing with me through that. Let's take a pause. Close your eyes. Put your feet on the floor. What can you see out the frame of your window? What sensation did you feel when I said to close your eyes? What did you think I was gonna ask you to do? Have you opened your eyes yet? Did you think I was gonna ask you to breathe? Why? One reason could be it's because that's what usually happens. You've had the experience and perhaps you were missing the nuance of the now, but I wanted to demonstrate how quickly the ideas of what we're attached to can influence our experience of our teammates and of what we make and how. What shifts can we make in order to reset and invite us to wonder and wander? Usually, I've learned it's the acceptance or the realization of our unknowns, known and unknown unknowns. And maybe the shared safety we can co-create to orient ourselves as if we don't know where we are. We might gather because we care about a synergistic why, but we bring preconceived notions about the other 4 W's and default to our socialization on the how. The series of choices that build a what. New information and insights are available to us in the willingness to notice within the safety to accept. I'm speaking specifically to the uncomfortable moments that build some of the insights I shared earlier. Moments we realize things we don't want to be true are true, or moments we accept we can't do what we want to do because we don't want to shoulder the consequences. For example, I'm a cis woman who hates a situation where a man is accurately telling me I'm being emotionally immature. Or I love going to the bakery, but I suffer from candida and will get really sick. Or even more embarrassing moments, like realizing you have infactual information while yelling at a subordinate, or that you view people as subordinates. We design against the failures we know, but I'm inviting you into a generative confusion about unprofessional methods to sustain your work that allow you to notice what blocks your synergy so you can accept it and change. We sustain our work through forging sustainable relationships. In a world where social structures are ending themselves, abolition offers us a vision for achieving sustainability through relationships divorced from crumbling structures. If money for the project dries up or never comes, we don't have to stop. Relationships rooted in healthy obligation to one another, an ability to repair, building and maintaining trust with users and each other, and transparency will help us overcome any obstacle. More diversity among creators, better design, and wider adoption. Higher adoption and more usership will mean more donations and less grant writing. Less infighting because of competition. Roadblocks can be us versus the obstacle rather than anyone being the obstacle. I'm not saying to go on a friendship free for all or, you know, you should do all these morally great things because it makes you money. I'm saying for projects about building divergent worlds, abolition and sustainability go hand in hand. And if we want to live in worlds where open source projects are not like proprietary ones, then we must heal, transform, and become the types of people who value different things and have non-proprietary motives. Investing in the healing relational practices to sustain our projects would mean we have to accept that we harm each other. We'll harm each other, and we'll have to make space for the healing and the repair, or even just for hurting each other. Admitting such things requires being the kind of person who will try to uphold the affirmation relational dynamics on repair, transparency, and reliability. Harm is a difficult thing to identify. Some people might be okay with throwing things while others may consider it physical abuse. Context and nuance matter, and though there can be no single authority on what harm is for everyone everywhere, I think of harm as doing stuff to others you would not appreciate, tolerate, or like them doing to you, consciously or otherwise, especially towards the ends of gaining or maintaining power over someone or people or something like land. We invite people into accountability, but it takes time, even away from our project work. But we are the work, and everything comes to light. Whatever we ignore will eventually derail us. Yes, us. Harm, conflict, or abuse does not remain between two people. Things will bubble up at a community center, in meetings, when a teammate is mysteriously fired, etc. So the healing and thus transformation is not just required of the people it involves, but must also include the community around the people involved. The container, context, culture, and relational structures that the harm happened within. How will you structure your vision, mission, and governance to clear out space for your thing?